Who are your favorite people to style for?
I think all. I mean, I don't want to be politically.
You're being very politically correct. So, what was the skincare routine like that she
Oh my
taught
God, a
you?
lot of people are asking me about my skincare because no one believes how old I am and don't even announce it now.
Would you do that? Like, give someone like free clothes too?
Yeah, if they return it.
In good condition.
Yes, in good condition. Yes. A lot of my inspiration comes from my travel. I love exploring new cultures, meeting new people.
Are you a loser? Are you a freak? Do you need a lover? Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Don't bother me.
Welcome to Real Strugglers. We're talking to real filmmakers and actors about their struggles working in the chaotic world of films. Today, our guest is Asmita Marwa.
Hi, Karan.
Hi, Asmita happens to be my mother, and she's a costume designer and a fashion designer, and a mother, and
Yes.
a home chef, and a farmer, amongst
Yeah.
many other things that she does.
Terrace farming.
Terrace farming, yeah. So we're actually in her studio, which is why it's so vibrant.
Yeah.
Mama, when did you realize you wanted to do something in fashion?
I think very early on, I was always fascinated with fabrics and designing and wearing the best clothes. It was my thing. And I think that was a way when I was growing up, a way to express myself. So I think I knew very early on that I wanted to do this.
Were you picky with the clothes? Like if your family bought you clothes,
Yeah.
would you not like, if you didn't like them, would you not
I
wear them?
won't wear it. I won't wear it. And I was very picky, yes. And I'd love to design my own clothes. And, my mom, Amama, would get quite hassled because I wanted to, drape her saris in various ways. And, sometimes they used to be a little revealing and she wouldn't like that. Yeah.
So wait, who are you draping them on yourself? Or?
On myself.
Oh, okay.
Because I couldn't wear a new dress every time I went out for a party. So I used to take her saris and I used to drape them in different ways
And make them
and
look like a
make them
dress.
into an outfit.
Okay.
And of course, I wouldn't cut it up. I just tie it in very innovative ways. So I'm very good at draping. Yeah.
So when did you start making your own clothes? Like how old were you when you first started?
I think I
Experimenting with
started designing probably when I was about 10 or 11. I still remember my aunt had got some lovely fabric from the US and I was so excited. And I made this strappy dress. I designed this dress for my birthday. It had elastic and it had straps and it had it was just below the knee. And I remember it was such a thrilling thing because I wore it to school and
How
got a
old were
lot
you?
of 11 maybe.
Oh, 11.
Yeah.
And how did you stitched it yourself or did someone help you with it?
I had a tailor who'd
Who would do all this?
yeah. So I'd
side
sketch it
projects for you?
out and as 11-year-old.
So when did you get your inspiration from when you were that age? Because your exposure at that time was probably quite limited to newspapers, magazines, and the films that you'd watch because not every house probably had a TV. Did you have a TV at home at that time?
Not when I was 11. I don't think so. No, I think TV came in later.
So then where did you get your inspiration from? What?
I think it was around me, my mother, she made children's clothes. She put me in the cutest frocks with these tiny, tiny frocks with polka dots and, little motifs and, it could be a little clown and, very, very cute things. She'd make clothes for me and then she also had a couple of exhibitions. So I think I was always aware that, you could create really nice things out of nothing. And my grandmom too, was a major influence because when I was growing up, she'd repurpose everything, all our clothes which we outgrew.
So she also had a hoarding problem like you,
Yeah.
where you can't throw things away.
No, I always find,
A purpose
a
to you.
purpose for it. Yes, yes. And so she made really lovely quilts and like most grandmothers, but she took it to a different level, I think, because she'd like copy, little like Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse and, from my books. She'd put that onto the quilt,
Okay.
using, various frocks of mine and stuff. So she'd really make beautiful, beautiful quilts.
She did do all the grandkids?
Yeah, she did. She did for all of us. And unfortunately, with all my shifting from different houses, they were flicked.
Flick?
Yeah, I lost them.
Then after that, when did you, at 11, did you think that you would be doing this for your whole life?
I don't think I knew, I couldn't really articulate this, saying that, okay, I'm going to be a designer, because at that point it was, something very new. But I had a sense of style. I was different from the rest. I never dressed like everybody else. I always was very innovative. So, and I was always complimented for the way I put myself together. And I think that gave me the confidence to sort of
Pursue it eventually.
pursue it. Yeah, eventually. But otherwise, I actually thought I would like study psychology. I did study psychology, and I graduated in psychology thinking I'll pursue and become a therapist or something, because I really was fascinated by the subject. But then I think designing had a different, meaning for me. There was something which came so naturally to me, It was a way of expressing myself, and I think I was good at it. And I'm blessed to be doing what I love. So, yeah, no regrets.
So you finished college in probably 2021. So did you do any exhibitions before that, or did it all start after that?
I think it started, simultaneously.
While you were in college?
Yeah. So I was doing like exhibitions, and that was my learning. That was my schooling for fashion, because I'm not a formally trained designer, and this is how I learned through, trial and error, designing for friends and designing and having exhibitions. And I had one in Bombay, which was quite successful. But it was like it opened up a whole new world, and I knew that I had to like get my act together and be more professional. So that's how the journey began. Yeah, in the meanwhile, I think I also started styling for films. I started getting offers, first to act, and then when I refused to act, then they said,
Who offered to, who asked for you to act in their films?
quite a few filmmakers, but I don't think I was very comfortable. Like you see, I'm not very comfortable in front of the camera.
I know, we spent 1.5 hours lighting the shot.
What rubbish.
For the first film you styled for, how did that come?
A friend of mine, Jayant Paranji, who was at that point assisting, he was making, I think, Coolie number 1 with Tabu and Venkatesh. And he got me in to style for Tabu. I think after that, there was no looking back, because it was just such an exciting thing for me. I was barely 20, 21, and I was working with the biggest stars. I was like in a big production, Suresh Productions, and that was an amazing experience.
Did you mess up on that film?
Not
Because your first film,
really.
right?
I know it was, but I think it was quite seamless, except for one song, which was in where she jumps into the pool and the color started bleeding. That was the only.
Were you on set at the time?
Yeah, I was. I was called on set because the color was bleeding, but they managed. It wasn't that obvious because, it was bandhani.
Okay.
Usually kacha colors.
So that happened then. Did you get your second film quite soon after, or?
After Coolie number 1, then Jayant became a very successful director. And I did Premante Tera with him for Preeti Zinta and Venki. And that was another beautiful film, and great memories from there. Simultaneously, I think then I did Ravoi Chandamama. That's how I met Nag, and he loved my work. Then I got on to doing Santosham and Manmadudu and lots of films. Gharshana.
So at the same time you're doing these films in the 90s, you were doing your exhibitions on the side through the year as well.
Yeah.
What paid you more though?
I think films paid me more. Yeah.
So did,
Exhibitions were good, but I didn't really have the time. I would do probably one a year. But films, I'd do at least 2, 3 of films a year.
that was more consistent.
Yes. And it was through the 2000s, I think. Yeah. I designed for more than 10 years. I worked in films. And I did design for the biggest stars, the biggest films. And what is really nice is even till today, they are known for their styling, for their timeless look. And I think I sort of brought in a lot of style into the film. Yeah.
So what made you want to focus more on fashion designing rather than costumes for films? Why
After
did
a
you
certain
pivot
point,
towards
I
that?
think I needed to, reinvent myself. I needed to speak a design language which was true to me. And that was completely a sustainable kind of a brand. I had that vision of, even before sustainability became a buzzword. And I had this very deep, it was very deeply rooted in me. So it had to come out at some point. And the films, after a point, got a little repetitive and, I wasn't really enjoying it much. And that's how I said, okay, now it's time to move on to the next chapter. And so I started my label.
Which was in 2000 and...
It was in 2003. That's when I first started, sort of dabbling in a little bit of menswear and women's wear, but under my label. And in a more, structured and more, a better way of where I was supplying to stores. And, I think, 2003. And then 2005, I had my first really big fashion show. From there onwards, I started working towards getting into Lakme. And 2008, I debuted at Lakme, and that was quite something.
Yeah.
I arrived with a big splash. Yeah. All of the Telugu film industry was
Yeah.
there in support of me. They were so generous, so amazing with their support.
And also Shobha Day's review of your show.
Yeah. Yeah,
And it was a
something.
Kalamkari collection
Yes.
and...
Was Gaia an awakening?
Hmm.
And I worked with Kalamkari artists, and we created some really magical stuff. Introduced very vibrant colors in Kalamkari, like, indigos and blues and reds. And, just the color palette was very, very different. And so were the silhouettes, because I sort of made it very contemporary and very boho chic. That was a collection which till today is very relevant, and a lot of my clients still want it, So I still make different versions of some of the things I designed back then.
So you still have like some of the
Yes,
material from there?
I do. Yeah.
Because you never throw things away.
Yeah. No, and these are like pieces which are done by Kalamkari artists. They're paintings,
Yeah.
which I sort of, then put it onto something else, like on a jacket or a dress. So they're appliqued on and, stuff like that. So those are never going to go. And the borders, beautiful borders. Yeah.
So in your earlier exhibition and stuff, what was your, what kind of stuff were you making?
I think mostly Western clothes, because at that point there was not much available in the market. So I was making, lots of jackets and, cool palazzo trousers and evening dresses and, more cocktail wear, I would say, yeah. And I also made Indian clothes, simple silhouettes, but timeless.
But
Nothing very...
you never wanted to study fashion at any point?
I did. I, in fact, was going to the US, study fashion. I got into FIDM. I was ready to leave. And then I had a disastrous interview at the at the consulate, and they rejected my visa, and I was completely disheartened. And
So you never tried again?
no, I was just like, I said, forget it. Forget it. I don't want to be like, focus on things which are not going to, may not happen. Let me just start. And that's when I decided to have this exhibition in Bombay with a big canvas. Had a lovely show in the Taj.
But how did you manage to do that when you didn't have...
I had a lot of support from the famous artist M.F. Hussain, who I call Hussain Saab, who's very, very, very dear to me. He really, really encouraged me. He was a family friend, so he's seen me grown up. He saw my talent. He gave me, he said, why don't you make some stuff for me? And I designed some really cool vests for him, jackets for him, with lots of pockets, because he loves like keeping all his
Knickknacks.
his camera, his paintbrush, his
So he carried his camera with him.
everywhere. Yeah. He was a brilliant photographer. Brilliant. Yeah.
No, I've seen some of the photos he took of Obama.
Yeah. He was phenomenal. So he was there, and then Rekha really helped me out. She's another close family friend. So yeah. So I had a lot of support in Bombay, and my first show was quite successful, I would say.
So they put the money to book the venue, or how did it work? Or did you have
No,
to-
I think everything
remember?
was no. I raised all the money myself
Okay.
for the collection, as well as, of course, it cost me a lot. And then I realized that I can't just go to the Taj and have a show. I have to. Then I learned through my mistakes. That was a big mistake. I couldn't have it at such a expensive venue. I should have opted for a much cheaper venue, because all my profits went in
Paying Taj.
paying Taj and paying, doing it on such a large scale. Then I realized that, I have to do it in a smaller way.
So your next exhibition was in Hyderabad then after that, or did you do more in Bombay?
No, I didn't do any more in Bombay. Then I started, focusing on Hyderabad, and that was good. Then films also evolved, I think. Costumes were given a lot more importance. Stars wanted to really focus on their clothes and their styling, and by then Bombay had Manish Malhotra. They had all the big designers there styling the stars. But in the South, there was not that much. It was only the costumers who used to handle costumes at that point. It was just, there was no stylist, there was no designer as such. So I would say I was one of the first to come in. I was fortunate enough to work with the biggest stars, and I had a great experience. Biggest directors, biggest stars. I worked with everyone practically. Yeah.
What's the key difference between styling for a film and designing your own clothes under your own label?
Designing for a film is you have to manage a lot of people, and it's according to the script, the actor, the actress. It's the colors, the director, what he wants, what he has in mind.
Or
and-
she?
Yeah, or she. We didn't have many female directors at that point.
No.
No, I haven't actually worked.
You've never
with
worked
any.
with a female
No,
director?
I haven't.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. And then, of course, the producer, he has to pay the bills. So he's constantly
Cribbing.
keeping a check and cribbing. So that gets a little challenging
Yeah.
to manage everyone. And when you're designing for yourself, for your label, you have all the freedom to express yourself the way you want. And the response you get from your clients, it's different. And then when you showcase your entire collection in a show, it's something else. But of course, when you see it on screen also, it's very exciting, and it's there forever.
And what's the biggest challenge about doing styling for a film? Do you think someone needs to be a fashion designer to be able to style for a film, or you just need taste?
No, I think
Taste
if
and
you're a
understanding.
stylist, if you have good taste, if you know how to put things together, I think that's
Are there any people you think who are based in India who are very good at doing that? Whose work who you think can put a good look together? It could be a
course.
person, it could be an actor. or a-
Anaida Shroff. I think she's brilliant. I love the way she styles. Manish Malhotra, he's just the king, and he's been there forever, and he's been reinvented himself, and I think he's fantastic at styling films.
So you do a lot of layering as well in your styling. Wow.
I love layering. I just feel that it's more exciting to, just layer pieces. If it's accessories or jackets or just pieces of clothing, it's how you put together a combination of different colors and different textiles, fabrics.
Are there any textiles or fabrics or things that you should avoid when doing something for the screen?
For the screen, I think something which doesn't crush, crumple is advisable. I believe that shooting white is, if someone's wearing white, it's a little difficult to shoot unless it's with a certain background. So you need to have that knowledge of how to
Yeah, it
play
can't be
with
like a pure
colours,
white. It has to be like more of an off-white to look
off-white,
white
yes,
also on screen.
yeah. So things like that.
What about shiny textures and like a satin or a silk? How do they like show on
They
screen?
show fine.
They show
They're
fine as
good,
well.
yeah. Anything which shine and which catches the light, it sort of captures well on film. Yeah.
So with your styling, do you think styling for films also influenced you as a fashion designer, the kind of clothes you're making now?
I guess the whole journey brought me to where I am today. I wouldn't dismiss anything, right from designing for my friends to having, these exhibitions to films to finally, launching my label and being known for, a sustainable brand, which is completely zero waste. We repurpose everything. We just, we're very, very passionate about a zero waste production line. So it's just to sort of come up with this whole thing. It happened eventually. I mean, it happened in time. It was not all of a sudden. So I think every step of the way I learned and I reinvented myself. And because to be relevant for 30 years is quite something, right? From styling for films to now, to having a successful, sustainable label is quite something.
Are there any disasters that you would say you had which you learned from at work?
At work?
Could be with your clothes
Of course, little things do happen, little mishaps. Sometimes you can make a mistake, but the thing
But
is,
what are the mistakes you've made? We want to know.
I don't remember now, but
Conveniently forgetting your mistakes.
yeah, yeah.
No, but like on a film set or like even like your first fashion show, you didn't have shoes for your models.
Oh yeah, because there was a shoe brand which was going to sponsor the shoes, and last minute I didn't like those shoes. They just didn't go with my clothes, even though they had shown me pictures. Those shoes were not available. They said you can take something else. So I said no. And then Sabyasachi was so generous. He asked his assistant to send a whole bag full of shoes from Calcutta just before my show. And it was just, I mean, he saved the day for me. And the styling worked out perfectly because it was so cool to have. That was, I think, one of the first times people were wearing, I mean, the girls were wearing saris with sneakers, lehenga with a sneaker. And it was just churidar with a sneaker. It was just so cool. The whole vibe of the show. And I think that was like my favorite moment.
What are the films that you're most proud of being a part of?
I think Manmadudu, Garshana, Premante Dera, all these films are extremely special. The work was really appreciated and lovely memories.
What was the hardest film you worked on?
I think
No?
I found anything really hard. I enjoyed all the films I worked on. I got to travel, sometimes. And in those days, you couldn't really buy clothes. I mean, like today you have
Myntra and all these.
You have so many options and where to source your stuff. But in those days, you had to go either to Singapore or Bangkok or Hong Kong to pick up clothes.
So you had a free holiday and shopping trip.
But it was hard work. Oh my God, I had no time for myself. Sometimes I wouldn't even eat. I would just eat one meal a day because I was from morning to night. You were just, shopping. It's not easy for shopping for someone else because the sizes had to be
And you can't return
right.
it also,
You
no?
can't return it. So I had to really think. In my head, I had to like visualize the entire outfit, you know, because you're buying a trouser from somewhere, you're buying a jacket from somewhere, you're buying a t-shirt from somewhere. So you're putting that entire look in your head. You're putting it together. So that was quite, but I had, it just came naturally to me, I have to say. You know,
So was there a good balance of having to buy the clothes and also make the clothes for the films?
yeah.
Or was it majority buying and
A lot of
styling?
it was buying, styling, because, you know, that was most of the films, the kind of films I did. Of course, if it was Indian, like for songs and everything, that had to be made, you know, especially for the women, because either it's like a, you know, something Indian or something completely Western. You know, it was a mix. It was, yeah, some of it I bought, some of it I designed and made it. Yeah, most of the songs, usually you have to make it yourself.
And what's the most difficult part about dealing with film producers when it comes to being a costume designer on a set?
Film producer, I think it's basically your billing. When it comes to your billing, that's when, you know.
Things turn ugly.
Yeah. But I haven't had a very bad experience.
Never?
No. I don't remember, at least. Everything was quite, you know.
Okay. But
Yeah, okay.
Bye.
Yeah. I don't remember.
And who are your favorite people to style for?
I think all. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't want to be politically.
You're being very politically correct. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing a little honesty also.
Really?
No, you have to give me names. Who did you enjoy styling for the most?
I loved styling for Nag because he was very sort of open and open to experimenting. And I loved styling for Venki, Asin, Shriya, and yeah, a lot of girls. And Rana. And I styled for Mahesh. There are lots and lots of stars I styled for. And yeah, I pretty much had a good experience. But I think my favorite would be Nag and Venki and yeah.
Who do you think are the most stylish people who inspired you growing up?
I think Rekha was a major influence because as a teenager, I spent a lot of time with her. And my mom, she is, I mean, I think I've learned everything from her. Combinations and, you know, how to put things together. She has that sense of style which
And
I
OCD
inherited.
and paranoia you've also inherited along with that.
Yes. Yeah.
Then
And
Rekha, Mama.
Audrey Hepburn, she's like my all-time favorite.
Did you see her films growing up or did you see it later on?
Actually, Amama was a huge fan of Audrey Hepburn. So she, as a teenager, had a scrapbook of Audrey Hepburn and Rock Hudson. Until, you know, I think in my late teens, I used to look at that scrapbook all the time and it got flicked. I don't know where it disappeared, which is so, so tragic. Because imagine, you know, newspaper cuttings and magazines, old magazines. She like had a beautiful scrapbook, which was so thick. So back then, I was already aware of, you know,
Her existence.
her existence and her style, and because Amama was a huge fan of hers. So automatically, I think that sort of influenced me.
How did Rekha influence you?
I think she was on top of her game. She was the biggest star, and she was admired for her taste and for her makeup. I learned so much about skincare and about how to style yourself from her. Spent a lot of
So you
my
had like a
growing
pretty
up
woman
days.
type makeover.
I wasn't so bad. I was already stylish.
But so how old were you when you met her?
I was 13.
13. Okay.
13. Yeah, I was 13. So very impressionable age. And
So she got
she's
the
sort
first
of-
time you got your eyebrows done was because of her.
No, I never did my eyebrows.
Oh, you never done your
I've
eyebrows?
never done my eyebrows. They're all natural. Because Amama said, never ever touch your eyebrows. because both Rekha and Amama used to pluck their eyebrows and they all sort of disappear after a while. So she said, never ever touch your eyebrows. So both of them insisted I keep my eyebrows.
So what was the skincare routine like that she
Oh my
taught you?
God, a lot of people are asking me about my skincare because no one believes how old I am and don't even announce it now.
I'm 30, so you do some math.
So mean. Anyways, my
Age is also-
skincare is, I'm very, very diligent. And like you know, I work out and that really helps keep me looking fit. And for your skincare, I think it's very essential to use good products.
No, but what did Rekha teach you? Like in the 1970s, what was skincare?
Oh, then,
Yeah.
1970s, no.
80s,
Okay, 80s, yeah.
whatever. What was
So,
skincare like then?
Skincare was, then it was all Estee Lauder. Estee Lauder,
You got
Estee
it in
Lauder.
India?
No, abroad. So you had to go abroad to get, I mean, whenever you traveled, you brought back stuff. So yeah. So I started, I think in my 30s, I started my skincare. And yeah, since then, I don't miss a single day. However late I come back at night, I have to like cleanse and put my night cream. I never go out without my sunscreen.
Did you ever make clothes for her as well?
Yeah, I did. I mean, not like something for films, but more in her personal wardrobe. She's got some of my kurtas and stuff. Yeah.
The
Let's
early
see if we
works.
can find pictures. Those days we never like, took that many pictures. We didn't have camera phones. So yeah, we'll try and look for something to show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any tips for people who want to get into fashion and costume styling for films? Best way to get jobs, best way to learn the craft?
Create a portfolio. Very, very important. Create samples. A lot of, I think, stylists and designers, they have like a portfolio which is more digital and stuff. But I recommend you do it on your own. Create garments because that really makes an impact. Create, or if you want to style for films, do a photo shoot, style one of your friends, give her a makeover, do different things.
Or him?
Yeah, or him. Yes.
So you're saying actually do it, do the work,
Yes, do the work.
take
Do
photographs, see how it looks,
Yeah.
see how it turns out, take
Yeah.
feedback.
absolutely.
And for films, what's the best way to get jobs in films? Like, is there a certain...
I think you should start by assisting a costume designer who's already established. Work under her or him, and then see if you have the, if you're talented enough and if you have the skill set to be on a film, then go for it. But it's not all glamour. There's a lot of hard work there. You have to put in the hard work. There's nothing comes easy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And today's day and age, there's so much competition. There's so many people out there who want to do the same thing. So you have to be different and you have to have your own unique style and, put it out there.
And for designers who are putting their work out there, do you think it's important for them to give out free clothes to celebrities to pose for them?
See, actually, it works both ways. Celebrities need, different clothes to wear. And the designer wants the celebrity to endorse it and to use it in social media so that you get enough eyeballs. So it's a give and take. I think it works both ways. And
But would you do that? Like give someone like free clothes to
yeah, if they return it.
in good condition?
Yes, in good condition. Yes. But the stylist takes care of all that, They take the responsibility of
Sourcing and
sourcing
returning.
and returning it, dry cleaned. So it works.
Who all have when stylists contact you, have celebrities worn your clothes for events and magazines and
Yes,
stuff like that?
a lot. And especially when you're doing Fashion Week, you get sourcing calls all the time. And my most exciting moment was when Priyanka Chopra wore my top for one event, and Ranveer Singh wore it. And that same year, Vidya Balan wore a beautiful outfit. And then there was Sonam, there was Atya Shetty, there was so many, Shriya Saran, yeah, Rakul, lots of girls.
And where do you draw your inspiration from for the clothes you make?
A lot of my inspiration comes from my travel. I love exploring new cultures, meeting new people, looking at textiles. Old textiles inspire me. Colors, cooking. It could be anything. It can come from anywhere. It could be one dish which just inspires me and triggers something. And I say, okay, I could do this. And yeah, I think travel is my biggest inspiration, for sure.
So every
Yeah.
time you travel, you come back with the idea for a new collection.
I come back with so much zest for life. I come back recharged. I come back with so many ideas. I have this obsession of collecting textiles from everywhere I go. So I come back and I'm ready to work on a new collection because I spend all my money on buying textiles, old textiles, embroideries, and yeah, creating beautiful jackets like this.
So where are these textiles from?
These are all from partly from Vietnam, partly from Thailand. I usually get like stuff from Gujarat, Rajasthan. I love handcrafted stuff, embroidered stuff, and putting it all together. And I've just come back from Uzbekistan, so that has been absolutely fantastic. I picked up beautiful ikats from there, which are very, very special. And yeah, lovely embroideries, which they actually use to decorate the walls and the doors. But I'm using it on jackets as, cuffs and panels and collars and yeah.
So when you visualize when you're buying these fabrics, you have an idea where you're going to use it in your head, or does
I
it
do.
come more organically when you're working?
No, I can visualize it. When I'm buying something, I know how I'm going to use it. Yeah. Or sometimes I just pick it up because it's so beautiful. Then I find a, way to use it innovatively. And
So what's the design process normally like? How does it
I-
start? It starts, okay, you've gone
sometimes-
on holiday, you've come back. Now tell me how it starts from
then
there.
I put out all my textiles and then I do a little video and I see it. And then I sort of touch it, feel it, live with it for a while. Also involves a lot of draping because I use the mannequin to sort of see how the textile drapes and how I can whether it would work for a dress, for a trouser, for a jacket, what would work best. So yeah.
Any parting words of wisdom for your loyal fans out there?
My loyal fans. I think just be true to who you are and go with the flow, trust the process, give it all your 100% and more, and enjoy what you do. And it is a journey, so nothing comes just like that, So enjoy the journey and forget about the final destination, I would say, because when you when you are passionate and true to your beliefs, you will make a success of it. So if it's not now, it'll be 5 years hence. So just trust it. Trust the universe. Aham Brahmasmi.
Thank you, Asmita, mother, mama, for doing this. So thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe.
Thank you. Bye.